All right, we're here. Hand is great. Have all of our colors. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to play Bivouac on turn 1. Certainly the game could play out in such a way where we never have a chance to actually play that Bivouac, and then we want to play a Tarka on 7, but I think it is more likely that we end up with a Hero's Downfall or some other BB spell that we want to play, like Languish or Whip of Erebos, and we don't end up actually having BB in play, so I think you just lead with Palace, especially since you don't need the Bivouac until turn 7. But, still a consideration. Mystic Monastery, what? Alright. Now we have a choice. We can play Jace on 2, hope it lives. Against Mystic Monastery, that's not very likely. The other option is to play Bivouac and then start jamming 3-drops on 3, because if our Jace dies, we can't necessarily play a 3-drop. So I think it is more likely that we want to start jamming 3s, so I'm just going to play another ETB tap land, and we'll just go from there. And if the opponent plays a 2, that kind of stinks, because if we played a Jace, then maybe they wouldn't play their 2-drop because they would have to kill our Jace, but we can't really bank on not having, or on having an untapped land, so I'm just going to run Courser out there, especially since we have a second Courser, and now if we draw, and it's a card that we don't want, we can potentially play Nissa, shuffle it away, have another chance at hitting an untapped land, or not an untapped land, but just a land, rather, for Courser, so. Also, if our Courser just dies, we could just play Courser next turn, especially since we have Temple of Malady on top, so we're definitely going to have a 4th land. There's no risk of us missing our land drop, otherwise we'd probably want to play Nissa to make our land drop. But since we have another Courser, we can just run this out there, and if it dies, it dies. We can just play another one. Alright, so we do have a free land. I'm just going to play another Courser this turn, so we can have this Rabble Master kind of locked down. And Thoughtseize on top, which is phenomenal. Super happy to see that, because it's a 1-mana spell, so next turn we're going to be able to play 2 spells. Maybe punch a hole here. I think it's pretty clear that our opponent does not have Mantis Rider, because they would have played that last turn instead of this silly Rabble Master. Discarding a Wild Slash is excellent, because that's probably what they had to kill our Jace. And then playing Soulfire Grandmaster off Battlefield Forge is odd, to say the least. And we're going to double block here. Like, maybe if we block with 1, they could stance the Courser, which they might do anyway, and then save their Goblin token. So I like this play. And he's going to Lightning Strike to finish it off. That's fine. Kind of want that Satyr Wayfinder, but we'll see what our opponent's working with here first. Another Jace and a Dig Through Time. We're going to take this Dig. Now our Jace is going to live. If we want to play that. So they have a Jace and a Temple, but they can transform their Jace and flashback to kill our Jace, so maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe not. Alright, let's just do this then. Let's play Nissa. Get a forest, shuffle the deck, hit a free land, Jin Rummy, keep our stuff on D. Come here. Get up here. Alright, get up here. Good girl. And do we want this other Jace? I'm not sure. So they discard a mount, so they still have their Epiphany and their other Jace. Flashback on something, maybe Dig Through Time. No, they Wild Slashed. And gained some life with Grandmaster. Alright, so now we don't know any of their cards. Coursers are doing a good job of holding back this Rabble Master. We have infinite Jaces. And we have a Tarka for next turn, so that's awesome. So we're gonna play Jace. Alternatively, we could just play Den Protector and flip it up and grab whatever. I don't know. It's possible that I just want to go Den Protector, flip it, Thoughtseize my opponent. Don't get to draw the Tasigur for next turn, but I don't think that's that big of a deal, honestly. Because as long as we're able to force through this Atarka, we should be golden. Ultimate price, that's actually a better draw. It all works out. Alright, get a lightning strike. Not a huge victory by any means, but certainly fine enough. Gives my opponent like less stuff to loot away. So opponent could potentially do some stuff this turn, like tick up Jace on Courser and actually attack with Rabble Master. Or this might just be one of those turns where like they pass. Next turn, try. Oh, they're just gonna flip Jace. Okay. I was gonna say they could pass next turn, flashback dig, flip their other Jace potentially, or just keep looting with it. But this is also pretty reasonable, I guess. You go tick up, kind of neuter my creatures and then attack me. But yeah, they're just gonna flashback something, presumably dig. And, okay. I was going to say, if they want to spend their entire time, or entire turn casting Dig Through Time, I'm definitely fine with that. But this should also be fine, seeing as how we have a Tarkin next turn. And then we have, like, another removal spell, we have a couple of Jaces, so... this game is going to take a little bit to get under control fully, but seeing as how we're still at 20 life, I think we're doing alright. So what have we... Yeah. Singleton Goblin attack. No big deal. So we're looking at potential Ojutai's command. So it's possible we don't actually want to run this Atarka out there. I think first things first, we just jam Courser into Jace. See what happens. And they know that we have the ultimate price. I'm just going to chump with Rabble Master. That is hilarious. Yeah, I don't even think I want to play this Atarka. Much rather cast Jace. They're going to be tempted to actually Ojutai's command this. We can just play another one. And then also ultimate price something. So draw a Crad. Then do we want to ultimate price this Grandmaster? I don't think they have anything else that's really worth pricing. So I think this is fine. Really don't want them to go to their turn and actually buy something back. So we're going to keep this Languish on top. Because I think we have them covered. And Languish is the card that stops them from actually killing us if they somehow do get ahead from this spot. I don't think it's really possible, especially since we have Atarka, but stranger things have certainly happened. And here's Mantis Rider, so that's certainly a good magic card. But we are at 18 life, so we're still doing alright. They no longer have Ojutai's command mana. So we are going to go ahead and attack the Jace. He wants to block my DP. That's completely fine. Maybe all I needed to do was attack with Courser, actually. Because no matter what... Like, right now, I put 2 damage on Jace and 1 on the Rider, where, in reality, I only need the 2 damage from Courser to go somewhere, so that might have been a mistake. Might have just thrown away a Den Protector for no reason, but... if this Atarka does not stick somehow, then this is better, I think. But I gotta imagine this is gonna stick. And I guess I could have, like, flipped Jace and Thoughtseized first. May have made more sense. Because then I guarantee the Atarka comes down. So yeah, I should have actually flipped Jace and Thoughtseize them before I did anything. And then realistically, the Courser just gets through. But this is okay too. And there's no reason to loot here because our Jace is just going to flip immediately. So we'll wait until we have like a semi-bad card. So don't want to draw this land next turn, so we're going to play Wayfinder. We're going to pick it up, so then at the very least we're going to have another card to discard a Jace. And if we draw something sweet, like a Nissa, we could potentially play that, but I would like to play this when I also get to flip it in the same turn. And it kind of looks like our opponent has Ojutai's Command again. So... I think I'm going to loot Flashback Thoughtseize. If they cast Ojutai's Command, then I could potentially Languish. But okay, just going to strike my Jace anyway. Fine. Now we're just going to draw the Bivouac. And they don't actually have a command. Another dig? That's good. Still think we're doing alright. Just need to find... like Den Protector to get back Atarka would be good. Whip of Erebos would be good. Got plenty of live draws and 34 cards. Even like a Priest or a Tasigur would be nice. So I did throw away my Den Protector for no value. So that was probably pretty bad. I'm going to roast my Courser, that's fine. That makes my Languish more appealing if they actually commit a creature this turn. Well, that's a creature. And they should know my entire hand. We're still going to send in the Wayfinder. Good block, good block. Find a forest, play Bivouac, transform Nissa, and I think we're supposed to make a 4/4. I could see just drawing a card, but this gives us 2 threats. And then they Mantis Rider the Nissa, it's kind of a beat. Then we have 4/4 versus Mantis Rider, so I'm winning the race. Maybe we could find a Haven off this Wayfinder. Brick and mill over Den Protector. Gather the Pack would also be a pretty nice one. So 27 cards left, but lots of spice. 4, 8, 12, 13, only 14 lands. A Stormblood Dragon's a good draw. Force is not. What the hell happened this game? It's probably because I threw away that Den Protector. Opponent would be at like 6 less life. Now we only have 1 turn. Well, there's no Atarka. Atarka is conveniently bigger than Stormbreath. So opponents at 6 and their DOB, counting the trample. So they need to peel something. And yep. Okay. Not quite how we envisioned it going down, but it went down. We did it anyway, so interesting. Definitely like a lot of discard here. Languish is pretty nice, although opponent might sideboard into a more controlling deck, so that's something to watch out for. Tasigur is pretty nice, and Priests are pretty good. Obviously, like the 2 life you lose per turn is bad, but the 5/5 is great. So I kind of like all of my cards, which is awkward. So Gather the Packs can come out. Jace might be kind of weak if they have a bunch of shocks and they keep them in. Don't really want to load up on Disdainful Strokes. even though it counters like their best cards. I guess if they are boarding into a more controlling deck, on one hand, Stroke might be good, but also like the discard is probably going to be pretty good. So that might be good enough. It's possible we don't want the third Languish, actually. But what else? What else is bad? Like, do I actually want to cut Jace? Just because it's vulnerable? I mean, like, how many shocks can our opponent keep in just to deal with our Jace, right? It is an early play. I don't want to, you know, be mono expensive cards. So it's tricky. It's very tricky. I would expect my opponent to side into a more controlling deck. And if that's the case, I want, like, all the threats. Languish is less good. I want all the discard. It's possible I want, like, the treasure cruises and whatnot. Like, cruise might be good anyway. It's just, like, really bad if they get a fast draw. Maybe cruise would be better on the play, or at least better for game 3 when I know what kind of deck they're actually boarding into. Maybe we just cut a Tasigur. Because it's possible we get some awkward draws when we're siding out Gather. We don't have a lot of ways to mill ourselves, especially if we're siding out Jace, too. So this is not perfect, but this is kind of hedging against our opponent's sideboarding range. And then hopefully game 3 we have a better idea of what's going on and we can reassess our situation. So a lot of pain lands, but our hand is good. I mean, we can't really deal with a creature. Well, I think it's still okay. Now we can deal with a creature, but we're going to be maybe pretty low on life here. Stoke, Dig, Jace, Rider, perfect mana. So we're going to be able to hit that Dig later. I think I just want to take the Stoke for now. Because we're going to need these life points, I think. Oh, look, another discard spell. Now we can just take our opponent's cards. We can just take the Mantis Rider and the Dig, and then we have to take 3 to Thoughtseize, but then we don't have to deal with it. Elspeth. So I was kind of correct. They are boarding into a bigger deck. I'll leave them with that Elspeth for now. Not really liking these pain lands. Down to 15 already. Opponent has an Elspeth. Hopefully they don't find a Mantis Rider. They shipped a Soulfire Grandmaster, presumably because they want more lands. We're going to take 1 to play a Wayfinder. Find yet another pain land. So we found every single one of our pain lands. And this whip might not be good right now, but it will be good. So we are going to keep it. We don't have a ton in the graveyard, but we do have a Wayfinder. And our opponent is going to flip their Jace. Flashback Dig, potentially. And then, depending on what happens, we might just have to... No, I guess we don't have to downfall Jace immediately, because it's only a 2. And we can attack it down to 1. So I think next turn we play Whip, gain our 1 life back. Next turn we can play Downfall and another Wayfinder. Sounds good to me. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have like a Revoke Existence or something, because as long as this Whip is in play, we're threatening to do some cool stuff. Just need to mill over a Priest or a Planeswalker or an Atarka, you know, basically just anything. So we shredded our opponent's hand, but Jace allowed them to get back in this game. But they're not doing anything, so that's good. And it's possible that Courser just gets countered. I think I'm okay with that. I think Wayfinder is the one that I actually want to resolve. But of course, resolves, that's sweet too. Yep, counter draw. Try and find the way here. And found basically nothing. We found not only no big thing, but also no land. So we're still stuck on 4 pain lands. Jace is shrinking one of our wayfinders, so... they're probably also going to play an Elspeth this turn, yep. Which we're going to downfall. Because we were not lucky and did not mill into an Atarka. Atarka would have been gas. Well, now we have outs. Come on, Big Papa. Nope, no nothings. We can flip our Jace. But I think we're going to save that for next turn. We're going to downfall of this Elspeth right now. Basically trading Satyr for a token. Just to gain our life when we can. Kill that Elspeth. Then we're mostly doing okay here. We can whip back the Jace whenever we want. Transform that, flashback a downfall or whatever. And hopefully we just don't get beaten down in the meantime. Another Elspeth, alright. So now we have to deal with all these tokens. Definitely going to block a token. Alright, there's a priest. So if we whip back Jace, we need to find an untapped land to actually downfall the Elspeth. Otherwise, we can just jam the priest, like just run it out there. I don't think that's really the best course of action, but... might be. Like, we could like, just Jace away the priest also. But if we play priest, maybe opponent has to tick down Elspeth to get rid of the token. And then they can't really attack into our 2/2 lifelink. But they are, well, they're going to be able to tick up Jace onto the 2/2, so I guess that's not even true. So yeah, I think I'm going to go for Gusto here. Whip the Jace. Alright, alright. Second best possible draw. I think the best possible draw would have been Urborg, but not complaining. So now if Jace gets attacked down, we can just whip it again. It's not really a big deal. But yeah, still looking for a Tarka to actually just wreak havoc. Just go ham on all our opponent's stuff. Ooh, Stormbreath Dragon, that's a good card. Now, if he doesn't actually kill my Jace, it's going to be tough to actually kill that Stormbreath, but we're going to be able to whip back Priest, potentially. Yeah, he's just jamming at me. So, gain no life, go down to 3, might just get Lightning Strikes, but... Nope, Jace. Alright. So we can whip the Priest, attack Jace. Sure wish we had hidden a Tarka. We'd gain so much life. Whip the Priest, make a 5/5, attack your Jace, gain 2 life. And then... tick up on a token, I guess? And then if we live through this turn, we should be pretty good. Because we should be able to flash back a spell, whip back Jace, flash back another spell. I don't think it matters if I play this land or not. So I think I would prefer to hold it. Not like my opponent should really be playing around anything at this point. So flashback on Ojutai's command. Transform the Jace, yeah, and then Valor Stance kills me. So Boo earns. That was pretty close. No Atarkas anywhere. Alright, so it didn't look like our opponent had many ways to kill Jace, so also gonna minimize that window for right now. Also has multiple Elspeths. Languish does not look good, as it appears our opponent has sighted out all their Rabble Masters. And Cruise doesn't seem great. Kind of like to gather the packs and the strokes. Not sure if I have enough cards for all this stuff. Not sure how good these Tassigers actually are. I feel like I would actually rather just have Cruise than Tassiger. Downfalls are definitely staying. Yeah, I like all this stuff. Could see doing something like this. Where'd that preview card go? You can come back now. Alright, game 3. Hand's great. Don't know exactly what I'm looking for, so might keep this Scryland until turn 3. I mean, I'm not really looking for a land, I guess. I could bottom any land, but say I hit like an ultimate price or whatever, is that something I actually want? I don't know. I'll leave it up to the fates. And then this time we'll play Urborg as soon as possible because it does not help our opponent. Bivouac is pretty great since that casts a Tarka, so that's online. We have a whip to go with our Nisso, so that's good. Well, there's our opponent's Jace, so now we could just exile the Nisso to cut our opponent's Jace. I think we kind of have to do that. Well, am I going to play Scryland or Bivouac? I think I'm playing Scryland. So, bottoming this forest. That doesn't really help us, information-wise. So now, if our opponent taps out, taps low, we can play Whip. If they're like keeping mana open for maybe Disdainful Stroke or something, maybe we don't play it. Because it is pretty important to our game plan. Ugh. Do I think Whip is just going to get stroked? I don't know. Stroke is going to get us at some point. So, alright. Whip is in there. If our opponent had stroke, they would cast it. So this means that Atarka will likely resolve unless they have Ojutai's command later, but it gets revoked, so that's pretty bad. That's bad. There's another one. We're doing it. And I want something to play next turn, so I'm going to play the Scryland. Definitely don't want that land. I don't think there's anything I can really draw to make me not want to play Bivouac next turn. So opponent could have Ojutai's command. To get back their Jace, that would make sense. They don't do that. Might be waiting to counter an Atarka, but I'm not going to run that out there until they make a move. Ooh, get to play Jace in the meantime. That's awesome. Could see them commanding this. And they drew a card instead of bringing back their Jace, so that's interesting. And we can't flip the Jace right now, so there's no point in whipping it. Now if opponent goes for Elspeth, we can just cast a Tarka and kill it. probably just cut that. Well, maybe I should just play a Tarka. And that puts our opponent in a pretty bad spot. Like, if I play a Tarka, he could, like, counter it, bring back Jace, though. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to leave it be for now. I don't know if I want to play this Bivouac, because I might want to, like, block with Wayfinder, cut something, then we can whip back Jace, and we only need an extra card to go in the graveyard somewhere to flip our Jace. It's kind of tough now if our opponent actually has another command. I'm just going to play the land. I actually want the Wayfinder to die, too, so that I can just whip it. So hopefully our opponent attacks. Hopefully they don't have another Revoke Existence. Jesus. Talk about bad times. Attack! Yes! Thank you so much. Makes things so much easier. As long as you don't also revoke my whip. Beautiful. We have a Den Protector too? It's sick. So if we play Den Protector and this gets commanded, we're going to have 2 mana left. So we're going to have to cut exiling 3 cards. I think we can exile the DP, the Courser, the Duress, and then we're back to 3 cards in our yard. 4 cards with the cut. I think that's okay. Then hopefully he doesn't like use Stance to protect his Jace or something. That'd be a beat. Knew I had the land. I'm just going for a dig. Maybe not. I'm actually fine with this. Then we can DP back the Duress. And then use that to clear away for a Tarka, hopefully. So these games have been pretty fun. Pretty fun and interesting. Hopefully they don't find another Revoke, but even if they do, I think we're still doing okay. Might mean that we actually can't get the Duress back. Damn it. Womp womp. Exile is such a feel bad. So opponent could have Stroke open. So like, what if their hand is like Stroke, Stance, Elspeth, X? Ojutai's command, maybe. Then I'm in a really bad spot. But I know that I can force through this Atarka and kill their creatures. So that might be good enough. Ooh, Haven is going to help a lot. And we have enough to, we can hide the Haven, play it, get back our Atarka. And our opponent's hand is just pretty bad, actually. Anger, Mantis Rider, Stormbreath. Yeah, those don't beat Atarka. Get out of here. So, smush your squad. Why would they have anger against me? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, Stormbreath, Mantis Rider, Anchor. Yep, blocking. Happily blocking. Happily blocking that too. Well, it's one short of lethal. Still probably worth doing. That's it? You're going to concede after that? Alright. Fair enough. Alright, so 2-0. Had some pretty back and forth sweet games, which I really enjoy. It's a lot of fun. It's basically what this deck does, though. So, the longer the game goes, I think the more of a favorite this deck is. And despite things like Revoke Existence, like, you don't necessarily lean on Whip of Erebos, and that's why, you know, like, the Atark is in the deck to give you that big top end. The Haven, the one of Haven also is, like, a big deal. It comes up a lot. As you're seeing from these games, like, I go through most of my deck in a lot of the games, and with, like I said, things like Jace, Dem Protector, like, I have access to a bunch of cards, and Satyr Wayfinder will eventually cough up that Haven at some point, and then you can just re-Atarka your opponents. So, that's about it, and I'll see you guys next round.